What would happen if Lightning McQueen had never arrived in Radiator Springs? Would his life be different, or would it stay the same? How would it affect Mater, Sally, Doc Hudson, and all the town's residents? Would he still be a famous race car? Well, you're in for a treat because here comes another Cars theory on the channel. Let's go! Welcome to Cine Lovers. I love the Cars movie, the Cars franchise, the films, and the shorts. Have you ever wondered what would happen if McQueen had never arrived in Radiator Springs? I was asking myself that question the other day and thought, I need to make a video about this on the channel, because a lot of things would be totally different. The characters' paths would be different, and the story would be different. Everyone knows Lightning McQueen was a very cocky guy. He thought too highly of himself, and the time he spent in Radiator Springs did him a lot of good. Tell me more. Why was this time good for him? Well, he learned to be more humble and kinder. He realized that in life, there are things much more important than winning and getting things. There's friendship, family, and this growth was thanks to the lessons he learned from Mater, Sally, and the folks in Radiator Springs. McQueen also learned a lot about racing from Doc Hudson, a car who was very famous in the 1950s and whom McQueen admired a lot, the fabulous Hudson Hornet. Doc taught him maneuvers, gave tips, encouragement, and became McQueen's great friend, mentor, coach, and team leader, something McQueen had never had before. He would have raced without a team leader, but Doc stepped in and became that leader. Radiator Springs and its citizens did a lot of good for McQueen, both personally and professionally, and McQueen also did a lot of good for them. He made a huge positive impact on Radiator Springs, changing the fate of all its residents and the town itself. Before McQueen, no one was selling anything, no tourists passed by, and no one even knew the town existed. It had disappeared from the map. But after McQueen, he put the town on the map, and Radiator Springs became a hit. The success he brought to the town was so big that Radiator Springs made its way back on the map. But all of this only happened because two things took place. While McQueen was on his way to the tiebreaker race against the King Strip Weathers and Chick Hicks, he and Mac fell asleep. Then, one of McQueen's products fell off the shelf and opened the truck's door, causing McQueen to fall out and get left behind on the road. After that, McQueen woke up desperate to find Mac. He did everything to track him down, but ended up getting lost, where he crossed paths with the sheriff. And here's another interesting part. McQueen was going to ask the sheriff how to get back to the road and head to the race, but the sheriff started chasing him and made sounds that sounded like gunshots. McQueen got scared, sped up, and ended up wrecking the whole town. And here's the interesting thing. If McQueen and Mac hadn't fallen asleep, if the product hadn't fallen off the shelf, McQueen would never have reached Radiator Springs and would never have met Doc, Mater, or anyone else. And if the sheriff's exhaust didn't make that noise that scared McQueen, he also wouldn't have ended up in Radiator Springs, because McQueen would have asked the sheriff where the road was. He would have told him, and McQueen would have left. These are incredible details that would have changed McQueen's and everyone's future. If McQueen had never reached Radiator Springs, Doc would have continued being the town's doctor and judge, and without McQueen's encouragement, he would never race again. His identity and legacy as the fabulous Hudson Hornet would have been forgotten more and more. McQueen helped lift Doc's spirits. They helped each other, and it was beautiful to watch. Radiator Springs was slowly dying. No one passed through, and even fewer people bought anything. After Doc passed away, the town would have become even sadder, and most of the citizens would have left. Sally would still insist on staying because she loved the town so much, and she would believe in its future and try to find a way to rebuild it. I believe that the red car, the sheriff, and Izzy would stay in Radiator Springs too. Especially Izzy, since she's so attached to the town, given that her husband Stanley founded it, so she wouldn't leave. Sarge would leave and try to do something related to the army in another town. Luigi and Guido would probably go to Italy, maybe open a tire shop near Luigi's uncle's house. Fillmore would wander freely, traveling a lot, and selling his products wherever he went. Mater would also stay in Radiator Springs. He loves the town. Flo and Ramon would probably move to a more happening, busier city, maybe New York, Las Vegas, or Los Angeles, and open some business, a cafe for Flo and a painting school for Ramon, where he would teach other other cars how to do what he does. But there's a detail. If Flo really left Radiator Springs, specifically if Flo left the town, then probably everyone else would have to leave too, including Sally, Mater, and Izzy, because Flo runs a gas station, and if the town fails and she leaves, everyone would be without fuel. So, they would all have to leave Radiator Springs, unless they find someone to take over the station. But since the town is failing, I doubt anyone would invest. So, Mater, Sally, the red car, Izzy, and the sheriff would leave too. Radiator Springs would become a ghost town, empty. With that, Red might go to another city and work at the fire department or as a gardener. The sheriff would move to a city where he still had relatives, retire, and enjoy life. Izzy would probably end up in a nursing home, or she might decide to stay and pass away there. Sally could open a new hotel in another city in the US, and it would definitely be a success. Mater would go back to living with his cousins in the countryside and could work as a tow truck driver. McQueen would safely arrive in California, race against Chick Hicks and the King, but he wouldn't perform the moves Doc taught him. He also wouldn't do the reverse maneuver that Mater taught him. McQueen wouldn't have saved the King during the accident. He only saved the King because he spent that time with Doc, learned to be more humble, put cars, friends, and family first, and also remembered Doc's accident. So, if he hadn't gone to Radiator Springs, McQueen wouldn't have saved the King. McQueen would have won the race, not Chick Hicks. After that, McQueen would sign a contract with Dinoco, which was his dream, and would leave the Rustys brothers and Mac behind. He only didn't leave them because he learned about friendship in Radiator Springs. Well, he would become very famous, make movies, give interviews, and be the most famous car on the planet. He wouldn't fall in love with Sally or have a great friendship with Mater. McQueen was without a team, without a crew chief. In the tiebreaker race, he would be alone. But what happens next? Doc becomes the crew chief, and McQueen gains a full team that even likes him. If McQueen and Mac hadn't fallen asleep, if the product hadn't fallen, and if the sheriff's engine noise hadn't scared McQueen, everyone's life would be different. It would completely change McQueen's story, the story of everyone in Radiator Springs, and even Chick Hicks. This is the only Piston Cup he has, and even that one, he wouldn't have. McQueen going to Radiator Springs changed the entire Cars saga. Luckily, McQueen's story is the one we know. It would be very sad if it were the other way around. And while you're here, click on this video to learn the full story of McQueen, his past, the awards he won, everything about Lightning McQueen's life is here. Or click on this video where I tell you that Cars 4 is coming, whether you like it or not. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video here on Cine Lovers.